Hey guys, welcome back to AFK Journey. In today's video, we are over on the Pioneer test server that they set up to take a look at what the new meta will be if they don't adjust these Paragon changes. Now, the thing I do like is that they have set up an environment for us to test these Paragon changes to let them know, yes, they are actually horrible. Now, I completely understand the point of view that if you're spending, you should have an advantage. I completely agree. I think the Paragon changes are just overdoing it. Now, just for a little bit of framing for those that aren't completely sure about what I'm talking about, they added, and I'll leave a link to my video going through the exact numbers and stuff, but basically they buffed Paragon stats. Now, the rivalry stats from Paragons, which are only active, those are these ones. Now, the rivalry stats are only active during PvP modes. So whether it be your normal arena, your supreme arena, your what's the guild PvP that they introduced, which I really don't enjoy, that one, those ones. So that's where it's involved. So people who don't care about arena are kind of like, yeah, I don't really care. But the problem is a lot of players who this affects are those people who do spend a decent little bit of money to try and, use the money, get a little bit more advantage, maybe have all the characters so they have the options, and then try and out strategize people with higher Paragon tiers who are being a bit more lazy with their placements or something like that. And this basically makes those people unable to do anything. And I'll show you the testing to show you what I am actually talking about. But essentially what they added was they buffed the stats that they already got from Paragons. Now, I think the buff to the stats is okay. We'll have to wait and see the Paragon 3 and 4 because they get a bigger buff. That might even be too much on its own. But they introduced two new stats, which are, dude, I can't remember what their names are. It's not translated. It's in the other video. But these stats essentially, for each Paragon hero you have, it's going to buff your team's healing, shielding, buffs, and energy regeneration, and also reduce your opponent's team's healing, shielding, buffs, and energy regeneration. Now, in general, when everyone's team is at the same Paragons, these cancel each other out. What this does is mean if you have higher Paragons, you just have a much bigger advantage, and it's lower at Paragon 1, and the testing I'm going to show you guys is Paragon 1 versus Supreme Plus. And you can imagine Paragon 2 to Paragon 1 is probably going to be similar to this, but Paragon 2 to Paragon 3 is going to be absolutely nuts. Don't even think about fighting Paragon 4 as a Paragon 2 or anything like that. But I want to show you guys some of the testing that I did. Now, once again, I do think that the way they've set up this testing for us to do, I do think they are open to reverting this or changing it based on feedback. Now, my initial feedback is get rid of the additional stats, and we have to wait and see how the boosted stats to the higher Paragons work. Their intention is obviously to give whales a bigger advantage because, I don't know, if whales are complaining about it. The other view is, no, they're just trying to get the mid-level spenders to become high-level spenders. And I find in games, normally when you try and make your mid-level spenders high-level spenders, they become free-to-play or quit. So I think this is just a completely bad angle. But hey, I'm just a guy on the internet talking smack and owning teams with the worst teams you've ever seen because I have one Paragon level. So let's go into the testing and take a look. And this has been dominating Reddit. I jumped on Reddit this morning, and every top rated article is about these changes and people not liking them, whether it be from free to plays to low spenders, mid spenders, high spenders, giga whales. I haven't seen anyone who's yeah, this is an amazing change. So I think that screams that we've got to do some adjustments. Now, I want to show you guys some of the stuff that I tested here. So this first one, you can see I just put Paragon 1 on Lucius, Corrin, Dude, Valen, Atalanta, and how have I forgotten Faye's name? Yeah, so that's the team I was trying to use here. As you can see, a properly built team actually beat me. So if you bring the most trash of trash teams versus a decent team, Paragon 1 versus Supreme Plus, the Supreme Plus can actually beat you. I'll just put this in. Now, the reason we lost this is because our team doesn't have any real massive early healing or buffs to apply, because the healing and buffs that give you the boost at the start is what you can really abuse. So that's why we get absolutely demolished, because we don't have time to ramp up those additional buffs from the new stats. Now, when we go into the next fight, which is this one here, no, not that one, which is this one up here. Okay, you can see this one is against a Freyesto, Damien, Scarlita, Lily, and Hewen. The one change that I made here was I swapped in a Rowan, so we had extra potions early on to help us keep topped off, and then we obviously get the extra energy regeneration and stuff like that. So that was the change I made to this one, and then we can jump in and take a look at the replay. Let's put on 1x speed. So you can see that against this enemy team, like normally that enemy team is going to be absolutely slapping us. You can see that Lily May did no damage to my Rowan at all with the interrupt there, which is ridiculous. And our shields are just so damn beefy. Now later on, they do actually tap Karin in this one, I think, with the Scarlita's knockoff. But you can see if you were bringing a semi-proper team, like let's just say instead of these heroes, you beefed up like a Lily May, a Tassie, and that's about it. Anything else? Like if I just had Lily May and Tassie in 2 of these spots as opposed to anything else, like you are just absolutely dominating these teams no matter what the enemy team is with this stat advantage. You can see that Valen ult just about taps the entire enemy team, which is a pretty big thing from a Valen. Like that is kind of nuts when you look at it like that. And then we get the shields again, and once again, we're just rolling. And like I said, Rowan is a big difference in this one because obviously the team is so bad, so putting the Rowan in there does become clutch. But this is what I'm worried that the meta would look like post this stuff if it goes live. You're like a mid-level spender. So maybe you've got Paragon 1 on a bunch of your characters. You're not quite at Paragon 2 levels. But it gets to the point where bringing a Celestial Hypogean that you have at Supreme Plus versus bringing a semi-meta 4-faction hero at Paragon 1, like your Cell Hypo probably ain't going to cut it because just the Paragon buffs that the other hero brings are going to be better. Now, I do think like a Supreme Plus Paragon hero is probably going to be better than like a Fae, but not going to be better than like the Tassie, the Lily May and stuff like that. The Bonnie, you know what I mean? Like all these heroes, I just feel like you're not going to compete at that level. And it means like now you are forced, if you have gotten your account to a point where you do have Paragon 1 on some of the 4-faction heroes, now if you want to even use a Celestial Hypogean, you have to get them to Paragon 1. If you then get to the point where you've got some of your 4-faction heroes to Paragon 2, if you want to get any use out of your Cell Hypos, you have to get them to Paragon 2. Like it's going to be that kind of snowball, I think, that will eventuate because of these buffs and how strong they are. Now, I did jump into this one to see if we could beat this Harak. Now, this Harak, I believe, was Paragon here. Yeah, so that Harak does have a Paragon on him. And I was like, dude, if we could tap this Harak with Paragon, that would be nuts. Because they only have the one Paragon, we get much more stacking buffs. So I thought we could do it. Unfortunately, my stupid Lucius misses the shield on the Rowan. Watch this, watch this. I think if Lucius actually put his shield on Rowan here, ready for it. Here he goes. Boom. And it missed the Rowan. It doesn't really matter because he does go ahead and gobble, and then it's pretty much done from there. But I think if we got the Rowan shield, we could have been in a bit of a better situation because we could have got the ult there. But once again, that Harak, I feel like we still did decently considering that Harak can just absolutely ravage teams. So that was a look at that one. That was me trying to beat a single Harak. And you got to remember, with Harak, because you're buffing buffs with the new Paragon, that Harak just, once he eats someone, it doesn't matter if it's his team or anything, he just goes boom and then destroys the world. So then we get to this one over here. And I realized from one of the earlier battles that, you know, this is a Lily May, Freyesto, Taylene, Tassie, Damien. This is not a bad team at all. This is a pretty solid team. I realized against this kind of team earlier that my Lucius just died too quick, so I need to keep Lucius alive. So I literally just put this the Iron Wall spell on him, and watch the difference in this battle. Watch the difference. So we bring Lucius up. Lily May's dancing on him. Everyone's hitting him. He's just going, yeah, what up? Get interrupted by Lily May. My shield's still cooking. That's just the Karin shield, by the way. So we don't really need Lucius' shield. But then we get the energy boost from Rowan. Keeping in mind, our energy is completely boosted as well. And now we're all shielded. Now we're just cooking. And now our Valen goes pew, pew, pew. And it's like, yeah, Valen. Now, this enemy team is a bit annoying because you got Taylene who keeps coming back. We've also got the Lily May who keeps dancing and stuff like that. So it takes a little bit for us to get through it. But I just feel like there is no way that just by having one Paragon, my team should be beating this enemy team. It doesn't feel right. And that's why I think this needs to be adjusted. It's just funny. It's just funny how bad it is in this aspect. I just don't think it's healthy for the game because, like I said, you guys let me know in the comments as well, because I am free to play in every game I play. So this doesn't really impact me too much. It means, yes, I'm not going to beat people, even free to players who get to the Paragon, like. But to be fair, my server is so free to play that I've been holding top 20. This may bump me to top 50 in Arena. It's still not going to like massively impact me. Yes, it'll impact my Supreme Arena definitely once we get into the season. And I'm talking about my main free to play account on the global server. So it will impact me, but I'm not the person who's been spending money to try and compete and have that like a bit of more competitiveness in Arena. I think the people who get massively negatively impacted by this are those spenders who spent a bit to maybe get their roster broadened so that they can play the strategy of the game, because now the strategy of the game is just gone for them. There is no strategy left. And I just don't, you guys, and once again, you guys let me know, because like I said, this is just how I view it. Whenever I see games try and bump their mid spenders to high spenders, their low spenders to mid spenders and stuff like that, I feel like it often has the opposite impact. Now, yes, Wales might be upset that they were getting beat by people who had spent less. At the end of the day, I do think it comes down to strategy. If you're getting beat out purely on strategy, then I think adjust your strategy, and you should still have the advantage if you spent more, because you should have, higher exclusive equipment. You will have the higher Paragons, which already gave an advantage. So I think with a bit of strategy, you would be able to win. This just makes it a bit too brain dead for me, and I don't think it's healthy for the state of PvP. Once again, if you don't care about PvP, that is perfectly fine. I'm not like the biggest stressor about this. I always just roll with the punches in any game. But I just think that this is going to be way too heavy of a negative impact on too many people. And like I said, I do think we are early enough that it is not out on the global server this season for another week or so. I do think that when they view some of this stuff, they will revert the changes, because I just don't think it's going to be healthy for the game at all. But once again, you guys let me know, what do you think? I'm not raging or anything like that. I think it's good that they have given us a platform, a platform to test this in a semi-controlled environment. And I think we found from the testing that I just don't think this is how many people would want the game to be, where that you are forced into over-investing into heroes that used to work for you at lower investment. That is the thing that I think is a bit crippling, and I don't like the value of. Once again, we'll have to test this at Paragon 4, but at Paragon 3 and 4, it's just going to be so broken that the new stats are going to be so crazy. We can't even test whether just the boost to the old stats would be okay, because it's just going to be so broken. So I'm hoping maybe on this Pioneer server, they can adjust it, take out the new stats, and then let us test what the buff to the old stats does and see if that's still too impactful or whether that's a sweet spot. But that is basically my summary. It's looking pretty cracked. New meta is like literally the new meta will be get your 20, just basically get your dupes up. Just get your Paragon heroes. Like on my account, I've got one Paragon, one character that is Odie. All I would be doing is rushing to get more Paragons. So I've got a full team of 5 Paragon, decent units. And then after that, I'd just try and rush 20 characters to Paragon 1 so that I can unlock Paragon 2. And that would be the meta. And I don't think I would like that meta, but that's what it would be. So anyway, I'm going to stop rambling. That's a look at it. Valen is the new OP carry alongside Corrin. Best support in the game is now Lucius and Faye, because obviously it's the case, because they're beating out a Lily, May, Freya, Sto, Taylene, Tassie, Damien team. I mean, it's right there. It's obvious. Anyway, as always, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome day. I look forward to seeing the next one. Cheers.